absolutely so freaking excited. We have been talking via email for I think 3 months now. Amanda Sellers introduced us from the Sellers Dozen. And I was telling our following today, you are kind of like our Oprah, right? So you
That.
you are in the way that I am in awe of your story. I follow you on Instagram. I don't know how you do it so stylishly, but you have literally built a $30 million business in the middle of COVID from scratch with 6 children to help women faith-based and pray over the products. If that isn't in total summation of what we're trying to help all moms do, I don't know what is. So you so outrageously incredible. And I am so excited to meet you. So,
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to talk.
welcome to Amy Suzanne Upchurch from Pink Stork.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
I just want to dive in and hear about your story and everything that you got started. For those listening, you did just tell us a really funny mom moment where Maximilian just spilled your coffee everywhere, which is just
Yeah,
awesome because it's just that's what you go through, right?
right.
You
Exactly. You just scroll through it all. I've got my whole office smells like coffee now, and I'm wiping coffee. It's everywhere. My towel, it's all good. It's good. But I'll get my coffee later and we'll just keep rolling through life.
So, how did you get started and what brought you to actually have you always been in the nutrition field? What
Right.
was your starting point? Tell me your story.
Right. So, no, I was not always in the wellness field. Well, I was always very active growing up. I was a college athlete. My body, I would say for the most part, performed in the manner in which I always wanted it to. So I never really intentionally thought about wellness. It was more just like a healthy lifestyle that I lived. But when I got pregnant for my first time, that's when my body shut down on me. And I was like, whoa, what is happening? I felt like I didn't even know my own body that I was living in. I had something called hyperemesis gravidarum, which basically happens to about 1% of pregnant women. And I just explain it as morning sickness on steroids. So I had feeding tubes, PICC lines, just everything that the doctors could do to pretty much keep me alive and keep the baby alive. At one point, they gave me 24 hours to live, and it was just a crazy experience. I was like I said, kind of always used to my body being an athlete, performing in the manner in which I wanted it to, and then to have pregnancy just do a 180 on my body when I thought that pregnancy, I've heard about morning sickness, but I was like, whoa, no one prepares you for, what I went through with my body. And so I felt like I was just living that my body was not working in the way I wanted it to. So, long story short, I did that 3 more times, had 3 more really rough pregnancies. Obviously I did not die. But
Thank
just
you.
really
Thank God. Yeah.
challenging, and when you go through something physically challenging, it doesn't just affect your physical body, it also affects like your spiritual body, your emotional body. I was in the hospital all by myself. My husband was in the military, so we were moving all around. So I didn't have a support system. I mean, my family would come and visit and help when they could, but when you're living halfway around the world with complete strangers,
Yeah.
you're on your own.
I
Um,
get that. My family's in California and I moved to Florida. And so I've gone through babies and traumatic experiences, and I've had to call my family 6 hours away to come out. That is
right.
a challenge in and of itself. I can't,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I remember, moving and, not even knowing my neighbors, but then having to ask my neighbor, hey, I actually have an ambulance is coming to pick me up. Can you help me with, my little baby, my husband's deployed or whatever, so you're thrown into all
Yeah.
these situations where, I mean, honestly, I just didn't know what to do. I was in survival mode. And with my fourth pregnancy, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, this is it. I can't handle this anymore. I'm like, just, I will try anything. And so my mom, who's a nurse, and my team of doctors from just all around that had saw me, I was like, I really want to try something different. I've already done all the antibiotics. Like I know what that gets me. Can we try something else? And so we came up with this protocol of just really watching what I put in and on my body. It was a very natural approach. And it sounds so simple now. I wish I would have done it, back with my first
Yeah.
pregnancy, but it was a complete 180. And I had a great pregnancy. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I was chasing, at that point, I had three kids under four. So three kids under four, and I was pregnant, and my husband was deployed. And I was like thriving in my eyes. I wasn't living in a hospital. I wasn't taking ambulance, I wasn't being carted off on ambulances. So, um, I was so proud of like myself and my body and where I was. And I was like, you know what? I just knew that God had given me this experience to help other women who maybe were struggling with their own bodies. And so knowing nothing about business, knowing nothing about how to do it, I was like, all right, I'll do it. I know that desperate feeling of just like wanting to find an answer and feeling stuck, not knowing where to turn. And there wasn't a brand at the time that was for women that she could trust with natural products to help her with her body. So I was like,
And if
okay.
I can interrupt you really quick, because I was first pregnant with Kaya and I didn't know like I didn't know what to do. And the doctor was like, I don't know, you can just take over the counter, like whatever, prenatals, whatever. And I didn't know what products to choose. So I Googled and Googled and Googled, and I started taking your products. I
Oh,
was like,
that's great. I love
yeah, I
that.
was like, prayed over. This is the best product. It's all natural. And I was so nervous, but it's so cool. It's so cool the way God works. But I love the fact that everything was just so well, like your packaging is incredible, but everything was so well, like put together and clean. And I felt safe. That's what made me think about what you were just saying, because I felt safe when I came to
Yes.
the product. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming when there's so many things, and you're right. When your doctor's like, give it a try, see how it works. You're like, well, I don't really want to just try. Like, I want
Right,
something great.
right, exactly.
Um, So yeah, so started the company right with my fourth pregnancy. And from there we've just continued to grow and help lots of women in just all different stages of life now. And every day is a little bit crazier than the day before.
Yeah. So when did it really take off? And like, how did you get plugged in with Amazon? How did you take the trajectory? And you did it really through COVID, right?
So, well, we started in 2016, and at the time, I had four little ones. My husband was all around. I would say, I mean, we were working. I was working, but how much time do you have? I was still like trying to get this off the ground. I remember I got a phone call one day. I was in the driveway. I remember it so clearly because I was in the driveway with the kids. The kids were just like riding bikes around. I was in the garage working, and I got a phone call, and it was from Target. And Target said, "Hey, we'd love for you to come up and show us your products. We've heard about Pink Stork." And so I remember it so vividly because my son at the time came and brought me this massive rock, and he dropped it on my toe when I was talking to Target.
Oh, no.
Like and if any for those of you that are like, your toes are so painful when they drop a rock on it. And I was like crying in tears, like trying to hold myself together as I'm like, yes, I'll be there. I'll come like when you need me tomorrow. Okay, I'm coming. It was just like one of those great like mom moments where you just have to kind of pull it together and you know take it till you can,
Fine,
yeah,
everything's
get off the phone and then start. Oh my. So that's why I remember that call so well. It wasn't from Target. It was because my son had dropped a rock on my toe.
fine.
But so went up to Target, and that's really when things took off, is when we went into Target. We ended up launching into Target nationwide that year. So great meeting, everything went well. And I would say that's when the business really took off. At the time, my husband got out of the military and we moved back to Florida, Northeast Florida, which is where we're both from. And I set up headquarters there. So I had a team that had kind of been remote. We work with a lot of military spouses. And I still kept that team, but then I started building out our HQ with, team of employees. They're all working in the office together. So that's when
Mhm.
things really took off for us. And then, yeah, we were there through COVID, which was just a wild time in the health
Yeah.
industry, no matter kind of what time or wild time in our world. What am I talking about? But particularly, a lot of people were paying attention to their health, trying to look for answers and figure out how they can, just have an advantage, dealing with pregnancies, just fertilities, like all the complications there. So, really grew a lot through COVID. And, now we're expanding. We focus primarily on what we call the FPPN woman, when we were first starting out, and now we do all stages of life. So everything from PMS to menopause and all the great hormonal changes and imbalances that women can face through really all stages of life. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I can't believe that, you know, if I remember when I was laying in the hospital bed, especially with my first pregnancies, I would just stare at my window, my hospital bed window, and I would just be like, God, why? I don't understand. Like, why is this happening? I was so mad. I was so frustrated. I was so angry. I just felt so defeated. Um, and I'm so thankful and humbled that we don't always get that answer from God. He doesn't always allow us to see the why, and I'm so thankful that he allowed me to see the why, that it wasn't about me, it wasn't about my situation, it was about what he was going to do with that situation to help all the other women that we've been able to help with Pink Stork. And that's something that I'm just so honored and thankful to have the opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the best things that I love about you and your products is you're very bold in your faith. And I think that's so cool and separates you from so many. And of course, that's your why and why God did all of this with you and really helped you through. Um, like what has the feedback been? What is the process of praying over the product? Like how do you navigate that in the space on social media, just in general as a business? I know that that's a part of your culture. It's part of our culture. We love it. How do you navigate that in life and
Right.
in yeah.
So, I think that's a great question. I would say it's from the start first. Like it wasn't anything that I intentionally was like, all right, we're gonna, start doing this. Like it was without God, this wouldn't have even started. So it wasn't something that came out of like nowhere. It was just very organic of how it all happened. Like I knew God had called me to do this. And so I was, just every day trying to be faithful to what that looks like. And I try to be very authentic in who I am. And so I really, while I am on social media, I almost like hate watching it because I don't want to take away from my authenticity of me just doing how I would normally, just it's not anything glamorous, like just walking through the warehouse and thinking
I
about
love
like,
your social media because it that translates, just so you know. It
oh,
does.
good, good. Just all the women that will be touched by the products, and whether it's, just for their, health benefits, or it's because they're really struggling with X, Y, or Z, it's amazing to see how God can use just something like this and do so much with it. And it's not about, like, I'm always like, it's not about our products at all. It's about him using these as a vehicle to be able to really help women when and our job is to meet women where they are and provide them, just I think to meet them where they are. And so by providing them with like great products and services and really letting them feel valued and heard and understood by the company. So, um, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just part of who we are, I guess, a part of how it all started. And, my hope is that it continues to, be part of us and touch women's lives in a very meaningful way.
Absolutely. I love that so much.
We've had people, on the I have had pushback from it from retailers that are like, well, I
Yeah,
don't know if we want your products in here because they say they're prayed over or whatnot. And so um that's a deal breaker for me. So if you don't want that, then we're not going to take that off our products. But I've also had people reach out to me that have said like I'm an atheist, like I don't believe, but I just want you to know that I really respect everything that you're doing and your authenticity, and I'm going to continue to support the brand. So, I mean, while we obviously, I think a lot of women of faith gravitate towards us, I think it's cool to also see people that maybe aren't of, that don't have faith and are looking for answers, and it's still speaking to them as well too. It's for, the brand is for, it's for everyone. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is something that where they can come and feel valued and feel heard and get solutions, natural products, clean products, excellent products to things that they're struggling with their bodies.
yeah. I love that. See, because so we have Abundant Publishing, which is like a publishing house. We help women self-publish their books, right? And we
Okay.
have a Bible verse on Abundant Publishing. And we've had some pushback by some moms, like, can you just take that part off? And I've been hard stance with like, no, that's our thing. So it's nice to have that affirmation because I know a lot of moms out there may not be willing to like ask that question or answer it. So it's good to talk about it because to be bold in faith, I think is powerful and important and gives room to God to help you expand into new territories and arenas. And I think it's important to feel true and it's a part of like me, right? This is my authentic self, an extension of my life. And I think that that's aided a lot of your success. So I love that. I love that answer. Thank you. I think that's
Yes, yes,
a
of
lot of
course.
what does your regular day look like? Because you do have 6 kids, one child with Down syndrome, right? Who I love your daily dose of Down syndrome because it just makes me so happy. I love seeing the dynamics of the siblings all together that you have on social media. I love seeing inside your life and how you just really embrace and honor and you do it in such a beautiful way that you're like, this is my life, this is me, and this is what we have going on. And I love seeing that. So can you give us a little bit more insight as to what your day looks like as this
Yes.
crazy
I feel
entrepreneur?
like this is what people really like to know. Like they want to see behind the
Tell us
curtain.
how
They
to
want
do
to
it.
see. Yeah, I would say, it's funny too, because my husband will send me, all these articles that are like, oh, look at what this founder and CEO does. They're taking their cold plunge shower, they're
Yeah,
meditating for hours, they're,
you do
have
that,
all
right?
the, yeah, of course. I mean, what mom
You're up
does.
at 6 a.m. No cold pizza at night, right?
Yeah, never. Um, so I would say it's just hysterical because I'm obviously a 180 from that. I jumped on this call and I had coffee all over my desk because Maximilian decided to stand on it. I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? Um, but I think it's just having a lot of patience and prioritizing what matters most to you, and family comes first. And so I'm not going to compromise that. I'm really big on like time, protecting my time, prioritizing my time. I know that my time with my kids is limited. I read something the other day that was like, you're going to spend more time with your kids as adults than you will and them as kids. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that just hit me so differently because your time with them, when I say little, meaning little under our roof, is limited. And so I really prioritize that time. It's important to me. And so we do structure things a little differently. We are homeschooling the kids right now. We haven't always done that, but that's great because we're able to work in all the things we need to work into our days, my work, their sports, their schooling, in a way that makes sense for our schedule. And so that's really nice. We'll travel. I think we're traveling the next few weeks. We're going to be gone. Like it's just, our schedules are a little wild. So I
Yeah.
think it's finding what works for you and your family and not comparing it to, the people you're seeing or what's happening next door because that works for them. And you just kind of have to figure out what works for you. And I think it looks different for everyone. So really prioritizing my time. I say no pretty easily. So saying no to a lot of things is really important. Um, but I would say for the most part, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what looks different about my life other than, there's a lot of us, Maximilian having Down syndrome. That was another moment where I was like, oh my gosh, okay, God, I don't think I can do this. Like, not only do I have work and already 5 kids and a husband and dogs and pets and lives, now I have a kid with special needs. Like, where am I going to find this time that I don't already have to now take
Right.
care of a kid with special needs? And it's it's amazing to see how God actually he has given us so much more, Maximilian, than we like. I don't even think of it that way anymore. He is
Right.
so much fun
He's
and
smart. His main character energy is just jumps off the screen. It's I
he's wild. He's completely wild. He was hanging from the chandelier the other day in the dining room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Maximilian, what are you doing? But he's just, and it's great too. Like I see, I mean, God just has, it's all perfectly planned out. And while I don't always I don't always like that I don't know what the plan is. Um, I see full circle now, like God has used Maximilian in so many ways that I just never even knew he would be able to. Even at my work, like he walks around the office and he was like, hi, hi, hi. Like he loves talking to everyone when we go in the warehouse and in operations, like he's such a light to the world. Um and I think he just everywhere he goes is he just creates so much joy and it's so fun to see. So, I don't look at him as, oh, another thing that I have to do now with special needs
Okay.
and the appointments and the things that I thought that were going to be really overwhelming and worried about. Now it's just
Normal.
yeah, now I'm just trying to keep up with him and all the things that he has going on.
So, do you, what I'm gaining from you and what I've kind of done in my businesses too is as I grow, I make sure to delegate to keep time for my family, right? My family time is important. So I would rather hire and delegate and build the team out to take care of the business or have a house manager to help me take care of my house and keep that clean or fridge stock. So that kind of thing. So I can focus on doctor's appointments, kids schedules. Well, I mean, we're going to be backing into homeschooling, and I'm considering hiring somebody to come in and help me like with certain curriculum. But do
Right.
you delegate quite a bit? I mean, how do you?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay,
I'm a
and
big fan of delegate. We're a growing company, a young family. So I can't do it all, and I know that. And if I do it all, then I'm gonna kind of cap at a certain point. I only have so many certain times and hours in the day. So yeah, I delegate. So we've got 3 teachers that come in and help with all the kids and do schooling. So and while I have it set up, they have offices, they have schoolrooms in our office. So and
that's
even
brilliant.
yeah, so we can all go in together. We leave together. They'll do school. Some of the older kids now can help with stuff too at work. So I've given them like some responsibilities just to learn. They're interested in different aspects of the business. So that's been really great. As far as our house goes, like finding help, like you have to be able to delegate. You have to say, hey, this person's going to own this part. That way I can then prioritize what matters most and where I feel like my time would best be spent. And that's obviously a personal preference. But I think you have to be able to do that to have so many moving pieces.
Right. And just grow and
Hmm.
own that. Yeah, because I think a lot of moms get that is where they get capped, especially with small businesses, is they don't understand the tipping point to when do I start hiring? When do I start outsourcing? And my thing is when you start feeling overwhelmed at home where that's your priority, then you should probably start to make that shift. And that might
Right.
mean you take a little bit less home from a profit standpoint. And
Right.
that's kind of the point because you will gain it. If you hire the right people, you will be able to, they should be paying for themselves and growing your business.
Right, exactly. It's got to make financial sense too. So you have to kind of look at it from a financial standpoint. And even if you want to start small, like I remember when we moved to Florida and we set up headquarters, I was homeschooling then because one of my sons, he had Lyme's disease, and so he wasn't even able to go to school. And I was like, I can't do all this myself. So I had one teacher that came in for a few hours a day. And that's kind of how we started, was just a few hours. So even if it's just like an hour where you
Yeah.
can buy yourself some time to be
Yeah.
able to focus and then really use that time to focus on the thing that you think is going to be bring your business like the biggest impact. So, for me, that was kind of focusing on like those big picture relationships and making sure that we were, in conversation with those big retailers that would really help us grow nationally.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think you just have to be, and it's always changing too. Like now I don't do as much as that. Now I'm focusing on some other things, but that's the other thing too, is being really flexible, which I think moms are so great at. That's why I think moms
Right?
are phenomenal business women, because they know how to multitask, they know how to prioritize, they know how to be flexible, they know how to adapt, they know how to prioritize. Like, give me moms all day long because they know how to get it done.
Yes, exactly. Because they have to.
Exactly. You
Motherhood
have no
is
other
like
choice.
resilience. You will just keep coming back and back for more. You just don't stop because you
Right.
can't. You're a mom. Like
Right.
being sick with babies. I was saying the other day, I'm like, I had 104 fever. I was out, down for the count. But my 4-month-old still needed me. Like there was
Right.
no, you don't get to just sleep and be in bed. You still have to be a mom.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I do think that that is so applicable to business because we know how to like streamline and prioritize and push through the pain sometimes because business can be painful at times as
All the
well.
time. I feel like there's always fires burning. If you don't like solving problems, business might not be for you, because business just has like a lot of problems and you've got to solve them and figure it out. That's, to me, what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, what would be your like best piece of advice for a mom that's starting out and is a little overwhelmed when it comes
Mm.
to like motherhood and business and trying to kind of balance it? What would you say to her?
I would say prioritize. So maybe like write a list down of all the things that you do throughout a day. Maybe take a week and just like write down what are all the things you did each day of the week, and then go back and look at it and say, okay, pick three. You can only do three of those things. What are going to be those three things that you can focus on, and let everything else go? And I think that is one thing where people have a hard time doing, is like, it's okay if you don't have the laundry room clean. It's okay if you don't have the perfect homemade meals. Like I'm just making this stuff up. Whatever's important to you, maybe those are important. I mean, I'm not saying they're not important. I have to do laundry too. But the three most important things that you feel like are going to bring the most value to your business, focus on those and let everything else fall. And then start doing that week over week. And I think you'll see growth. I think you'll see things start to fall into line. You'll see also fires just burn out. I call problems fires. So, like, you'll kind of see some fires just fade on their own and they didn't even really need your attention. So, why? It just kind of figured itself out. Um,
Wow.
So don't, you only have a limited amount of time and energy. So really focusing on those three things, prioritizing what you feel like is going to be the most valuable use of your time for the biggest impact.
When it comes to like outsourcing, because I've been reading a lot, and one thing that I've struggled with is firing or letting people go, right? So when it comes to like you hire slow, fire quick is what I've been reading or have learned is really important. How
Uh-huh.
is your approach to that when balancing it? Because I do think a lot of moms kind of struggle, like they feel this level of like loyalty of not that I have to mother and nurture this relationship, but I feel bad for them, this excuse, this whatever they have.
Right, right.
How do you navigate that in your business?
That's a great question because it is tough and firing is hard. Like there's no way to get around it. I look at it as you know, I I don't know if this is cheesy, but like I feel like God has given me this opportunity to really have an impact on people's lives. That's our mission. I don't take that lightly, and I don't want my team to take that lightly. And with that comes a need for excellence in the work that we do. And so I look at it as like if you're not contributing your best, being excellent, that's not living up to the way in which, God has called us to live. And so there's not room for that within the organization. And so we do have to fire people, and it is sad and it can be hard, but we also have to be true to the company and to the mission of the company and hold a standard. And when you hold a standard, not everyone is going to meet that standard, and that's just the reality of having standards. And so we'll do things, it's not like they see it coming. I think it's helpful when we do a lot of evaluations so people know where they stand or know where they have to improve. Like we give them the opportunity to improve. But if you're not seeing that improvement, then I think, you have to have some of those hard conversations. And I think you have to do it for the health of the business and the mission of the company. And it's not fair to the other employees too that are either having to pick up their slack or, it's holding them back from being able to do their job with excellence. So just like, a rotten apple can kind of ruin the whole bunch. The same thing can happen within teams when you have people that are, not holding the standard that everyone else is holding.
Right. So when you onboard somebody or when you're having your team meetings, a lot of that is, I think when you first started, you established your culture, your company culture. So from a
Right.
lot of moms starting out their new small business, they need to establish their company culture. It needs to reflect in their brand, and they need to drive that home on just a regular basis and through evaluations. And that's what would dictate a lot of their evaluation. And in addition to their KPIs, but am I hearing that correctly? So it's
Exactly. Yeah. I think it gives the employee an opportunity to be able to see, like, how am I doing? Where am I stacking up? Like, they need that feedback. And it's our job, as leaders or managers to provide them that feedback. And so, and I also think in the beginning, in the onboarding stage, is when you can really set the expectation of, hey, this is how we do things here. This is how you'll get evaluated. This is when you'll get evaluated. And this is the type of evaluation we expect you to have within this company. So you set the standard from the beginning, not like halfway through when you're like, oh, things aren't working out. You have to do it from the very, very beginning. And then you have to have those regular evaluations. That way they know where they're falling within the expectation of standards. We run our company off of a system called EOS. Have you heard of that?
mm-mm.
No, it's really great. We implemented it a few years ago, and they do a great job of, this type of stuff of how do you handle firing employees? How do you handle evaluations? And they keep it really simple. So any business size, small or large, I think Google also runs off of this, can really thrive within this environment. And I love it. It's transformed the way we do meetings. It's transformed like communication across departments. So I highly recommend the EOS system to anyone. I'm trying to think of there's two books. One's called What the Heck is EOS, and the other one's called Traction. And
Okay.
Traction is the one I would recommend for every. I would recommend both, but the What the Heck is EOS is for the employees, and Traction's for like your managers. And actually, I would say everyone should read it.
Okay, I'm gonna link that in below. Um, so like, because for moms, if you do you have a lot of your team working remotely or
No, we have
no?
a little bit's remote and most are in office.
Okay. So for a lot of our moms, they do work remotely quite a bit, or they have like their own online stores to be home. So meetings are hard, right?
Oh,
Having regular Zoom meetings and calls, because just kids constantly is just difficult. So having streamlined and structured meetings is critically
oh,
important
yes.
and short and concise. That's
And
important.
every meeting is run the same way was what another thing that I love. So like if people from other departments, need to jump into another meeting, like exactly where you are within the meeting.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
every meeting is structured the exact same way. And so I think that also creates a lot of simplicity and takes out a lot of confusion. It's not just conversation of like, oh, well, what did I miss? I'm 10 minutes late or something like that. So definitely recommend it for everyone.
That's awesome. Do you use a lot of AI? I just have to ask
I
because
love AI. Yes, we do
yes.
use a lot of AI. Our design team uses a lot of AI. We actually work with a whole company called Superside. And they do a lot of it's all AI based design. We have a team too. So I should say we
Yeah,
use both. We use
right.
both.
Right. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Do you use it like in your daily mom life too?
Yeah, sometimes if I'm like planning itineraries for trips or
Mhm.
recipes, I'm trying to think. I use it a lot too, just I find myself, instead of Googling stuff, I'll just like,
Yeah. Open
use
ChatGPT. Be like,
exactly and be like,
hi.
yes. So
I love
the
that.
time.
That's awesome. Okay, so to go back to being a mom and staying fashionable, you post a lot of your outfits on
I know
social.
I need to do a better job of linking them all, which I'm working on.
I love your outfits. I even love even more when you have like your daughter's commentary in them. I just think they're so funny. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, you seem to have such great relationships with your kids. How do you nurture that? I think one big fallback of like moms feeling empowered to like have their own businesses and that kind of thing is they get afraid of not being able to connect with their kids to that degree and maintain that while running a business and
Mhm.
having a family. So how do you do that? How do you nurture your kids, your relationships with your kids?
Um, I mean, spending time with them, I think is really important. They all have their different love language for sure.
Yeah.
Spending time, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think of like what I do. There's not a part of my life in which they're not welcome to be a part of. So like if they're interested in something at work, like I will bring them in. Victoria, my daughter, she's 10. She's 10. I'm trying to think about how old she is. No, she's 11. She's 11. Um,
Okay. My
she
daughter's
really
6 months, not 4 months, but I just ran with it, so it's fine.
great, perfect. Um, but she's really like she's into cameras right now and taking photos. So like I'll let her go in our studio and work with some of the designers that are doing photos. So I think it's, just having listening a lot. I do a lot of listening. There's lots of talking and I'm just like lots of listening now. Them just,
Yeah.
talking about whatever it is. I don't do this enough, but it's something I want to, I try to, but just like 20 minutes of individual time, it's hard when there's six kids and like I want them to feel
A
that
lot.
one connection. I feel like whether I'm working or not, that's just hard, but 20 minutes of one-on-one time is like a goal that I have for myself to just, hang out in their room or just, have milk and cookies with them, whatever it is. Take one to Starbucks. 20 minutes is my goal, and I'm failing right now, but we're that's the goal. So just something, I think just showing that you're interested in whatever they're interested in too is a big thing. So my son plays football, just asking lots of questions about football, even if I'm not fully understanding what's happening,
Yeah,
just those things.
right, right. Oh my gosh, that Super Bowl halftime show. That was a lot. That was that Super Bowl.
Uh,
And that game was just a blowout. I was like, oh man. But a lot
I
to talk about with your son that loves football. There we go.
Yeah, I had all his friends came over and I had food for them and they were going crazy. And, so I think it's just setting the environment in which they want to be around, they want to bring their friends a part of. Not that there's not like rules and restrictions, but I think just having that open mind and open communication is so important, especially as they're getting, my oldest now is 14. So, getting older and I want to hang out with him and I hope he still wants to hang out with me when he's older. So, yeah.
Totally. So, how do you deal with like stress and keeping your home kind of like, I don't know if calm's the word, but how do you like self-regulate? Because
Right.
that's one of my biggest challenges with my business is growing as rapidly as they are. And I've gotten a lot of questions about that on some of the clients that I coach and work with is how do I self-regulate when I have stresses when it comes to work and my kids are crazy? And how do I keep myself composed so I can be my best mom showing up? How do
Yeah,
you?
that's a great question. Exercise, I think, is really important for me. Getting outside is really important for me. Just kind of sitting in the sunshine, going for a walk. I think it's the little things, right? Like I don't have time to go do the cold plunge, the whole routine, blah blah blah. I have to find those like 2 minutes in the car where it's just me by myself before I walk in. Like you have to find those little reset buttons for you and wherever you can take that time with, is it solitude? Is it being around other girlfriends? Is it exercising, sweating? I think you just have to look for, or I kind of look for them throughout my day to help not feel overwhelmed or just like all over the place. And sometimes I always feel like that, but just to help me get through those moments of I'm much more like internal. So I like take a bath by myself. I don't know, anything by myself, a shower by myself.
Yeah.
Oh, on the
I like
block.
I like to be alone. I do. I really do. I haven't been alone in 3 years.
I know that that's
Tell me
about it.
when time happens. It comes, right? I can
I know that's what
the
I'm
most
like.
alone I've been. And they're sleeping downstairs.
Exactly. God's funny like that though, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's finding those times throughout the day where you can, just get a little recharge and a reset. Whatever works for you.
That's awesome. Oh man. What are your top books that you read?
Um, I read books all the time. I'm sitting here's like a stack of books right now. But I read a lot of business books, which might be a little boring, but that's a lot of what I read. Prayer books. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of course, you would ask me that question. I'm like reading 7 books right now, and I can't think of one of them.
I'm sorry, I gave Grace the question list too, and that was not on it.
No, 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 it's perfectly fine. I'm trying to think. Influence is a book I'm reading right now. That's really good. I'm trying to think. These aren't ones. I feel like I've already read these. Um, these are the books that I was using to set my coffee up on.
I guess the question is, when are you going to write your own so we can learn how to do it all? Because I think that
Yeah. Right, because there's not just like enough things to do throughout the day.
right. AI can help you, but I really do think that you should because I think I think it would be such a value because I really genuinely I still don't know how you're doing it with 6 kids and a huge business in a house in yourself and you still somehow shower and show up in like amazing outfits. I don't know how you're doing it. I really don't. Because
I
like,
feel like I just need a camera crew that would turn into a TV show that would be called like Complete Chaos Mayhem.
yes.
I think people would not, I don't know if they would tune into it. They'd tune into it because they would be like, oh my gosh, like, really?
Is there a lot of yelling at your house? Because sometimes I get a little yelling. But we're an Italian, Irish Italian home, which is just very loud to begin with.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Where I'm Italian, so like my coffee mix says like I'm not yelling, I'm just Italian. Like
Yeah.
I guess I'm like loud and I have like a lot of energy and movement and but that's where I thrive. But my kids are the same way. So we're all like that we're not there's not like yelling, but we're all loud, we're all talking, we all have our own conversations that are happening and there's 10 of them and if you know if you're not like used to that you might feel a little overwhelmed in the house.
So wait, you said your oldest is 14. That means dating's on the horizon. Is that
Yeah, I mean he's not right now. I he has his like celebrity crushes which is funny but I'm like why am I not your background picture?
yeah, I'm your mother.
So
Oh my
I'll go in and like change it that way it's like a picture of me on his phone. He's like oh
Are you gonna be like the quintessential Italian mother-in-law?
probably my husband says I am.
Because I have one.
Yeah, and I joke because John Hamilton, my oldest, he's probably like the most calm and he's very like organized and everything has a spot and he's like, Mom, oh my gosh, calm down. You're going crazy. I'm blah blah blah. And I'm like, you're gonna marry someone that's gonna be just like me, and we're both gonna be on top of you. So yeah.
Do you guys do Sunday dinner?
So I think this might have been in one of your questions, but we don't do Sunday dinner. We actually do Sunday family day. So, which
Love
I
that.
guess consists of dinner too. But I think with all of our moving schedules and like friends and sports, like basically we've all just, I said like I want to be around you guys. So we dedicated Sunday as like family day. So that's just a time where it's just our family and we'll go to church, we'll go out to lunch, I'll make, a dinner, but we'll do an activity. I think we all went golfing last week, which was fun. Like we just all hang out together.
I love that. Yeah, we do a big Sunday dinner every dinner. So the in-laws come over and it's like big family day every
Oh,
Sunday,
fun.
making like gravy and food, and it's all about the food. And like I'm Italian, I'm Irish Italian, but I'm not like Italian like my husband, where it's like the 3 things they talk about. It's like food, Catholicism, and food again. Like that's what the conversation consists of. I'm like, can we? There's other things happening. It's like,
Yeah, no, no, no,
where'd you
that's
get the
so
prosciutto? I'm like, I don't. So
oh my
that's
God.
our life on Sundays.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
but I want to start incorporating doing a family activity. I didn't really think to do that. We'll go to like the resort and stuff
Uh-huh.
because we live near Boca, but we moved away. But that's kind of like what we've been doing. But I think that that's a great idea. I never thought to like go golfing together or to do something like that. And that's like literally, it feels like a big deal, but it's like 2 hours of your time that your
Right,
kids will remember and reflect back on. And
right.
it gives you a minute to, I'm sure you just put your phone away.
Exactly. I don't bring my phone with me and I'm just, paying attention to whatever's happening. And it doesn't have to, yeah, golf. It could be, I'm trying to think like a picnic at the park, like just
Yeah.
anything. I like to do activities because I feel like it helps keep everyone, I don't know, focused.
Not fighting. like on one
It's like a physical
thing.
activity that we're all like competing against, and there's a winner, and everyone's engaged.
So when you walk into restaurants, do you, because we get like when we come in with our in-laws, there's like eight of us, and we're like,
Mm.
hey, do you get the
Yes,
like, hi, you have to
yes.
wait.
We don't have reservations till 10:30. Or yes,
Put it in
so
my car, it's fine. And I
yeah,
sign.
it's fine. We'll be back. No, so yeah, I do. I usually try to call ahead for if we're gonna go out. I'm one of six, and my husband's one of four, so we have very large extended families as well. So yeah, we just have to make reservations.
You just have to plan.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so we are winding down. I want to thank you so much for your time. This has been really absolutely incredible. Do you have any like final thoughts on like how you conquer your week, like, or for moms if they're just kind of in this and they're like, okay, I am ready to go with either mom life or business life, like what do I do? Like
Yeah,
solve life problems. I think that's easy, right?
exactly. No problem. No problem. Yeah, I would say, just prioritizing what you're working on, prioritizing your time, and being flexible. Those are probably my three things that I would say. Like, those are the things that I would recommend that women focus on, whether it's, for motherhood or for work. And that just creates, priorities around your week and how you're going to get all the things done and solve world problems.
And they can also, I'm sure that they already are taking your products, but they can find you on Amazon, Target, really in any major retailer, right? Pink store.
Yes, Walmart, and then our website, and then some smaller like health food stores around, just all around.
And if they wanted to be an affiliate,
Oh, yes.
they can do that on the website because we do have a lot of mom influencers that I'm sure would love to participate in that. They can apply on your
Yes.
website.
Yes, yes, you can become an affiliate. So just go on our website and sign up for our affiliate program. And I forget the details off the top of my head, but yeah, you can start making commissions off of just, selling the products that you love.
Yeah. So we'll get you some moms out there promoting Pink Stork too. That's so exciting. And I have actually used your products every pregnancy, and I've been pregnant for the last 3 years.
Oh,
And I every pregnancy. So I have like loved Pink Stork and love your products because your products really are just like what makes your vitamin. We didn't even talk about that. What makes your vitamins so different? Like I know ethically they're different and prayed over in faith.
great.
What really makes them so poorly different? Because I do feel 1,000 times better when I take them.
That's
Even your
great. That's great. Well, I think being organic is really important. Also just like clean sourcing. We get all of them third party tested. So making sure that they're actually at the standard and level in which, it says on the SF panel that it's at. A lot of companies, you have to watch that. Like the SF panel could say one thing, but then the actual potency is different. So you want to make sure that they're, tested, ideally third party tested, and coming from like really great facilities. So like GMP certified facilities that have really high standards as well when it comes to ingredients. We also work with, scientists and herbalists and doctors for the formulation. So making sure, vitamins, when you start blending them together, you want them to be absorbed to the best of your ability, your body's abilities. So making sure you have like the right blends of vitamins is really important as well, because that's going to affect whether you can absorb it or not. So those are all things that we do. And then praying over the products and praying, as God uses you to go on and do the things that he's created you to do, hoping, you feel your best and you're ready to kind of, again, solve all the problems that come in
yeah.
your direction
All
every day.
wrong.
Solve them all.
You're just here to be a problem solver for us, and I really appreciate that.
All moms, all women. What are you talking? Business, motherhood, all of it.
Yeah, that is really like that's why I find it so funny when we kind of get I wouldn't say forgotten, but motherhood is gets looked over a bit because that really is what we do all day, every day. I never knew what I was signing up for. I didn't know that piece of motherhood when I became a mom, that I also became a doctor,
Yes.
a scheduler, an accountant, a researcher, like a chef, like everything. I did not know that I was signing up for all of the things on
I
what to
know.
keep a human alive. That mental load gets so heavy that I just it's crazy.
It's true though, but that's also, I think, what makes us so capable to do so many things so well. So as heavy as it can be sometimes, it's also,
Yeah.
say like your biggest strength can also be like your biggest weakness here. It's like, oh, I'm exhausted because I can do all the things, right?
Yes, absolutely. See, that's the mindset. That's the mindset, and that's the takeaway. I really, really appreciate it. I loved this time with you. Thank you so, so, so much. I know you've changed a lot of moms' lives today, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me.